Hello friends, welcome to the Messianic channel, Pardes Roots, and today we are continuing in our Torah portion, which is called Veyera and Appeared, and we're going to study a little bit about God hardening Pharaoh's heart. This is our subject. Why did God harden Pharaoh's heart? And the answer to this question, which I'll give two answers actually, briefly, will help us to understand why God sometimes hardens circumstances around our lives, or why He hardens certain people around or inside our lives. Well, let's read first our text from Exodus chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. So the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall tell Pharaoh to send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh will not heed you, so that I may lay my hand on Egypt and bring my armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them." Amen. Well, one of the answers are actually written or hidden right here in the text that we just read. God is basically hardening, that's number one reason. He's hardening Pharaoh's heart after Pharaoh actually many times hardened his heart already. So that our Creator can reveal the true face of Pharaoh. We were just actually, the previous video, we're talking about Purim, right? And how evil is revealed as evil. It's very interesting because in the Feast of Purim, I'm just briefly going to touch on that because I didn't mention in the previous video. It is a custom to wear different images or masks, and it is actually taken from a certain tradition from that story, because in the story of Purim, and if you haven't heard that yet, I recommend you go back and listen to that message that I gave on Purim. We see how evil is disguised themselves as something good, because Haman was pretending that he's a good guy, although he was evil. So he's sort of wearing a good mask, but he's a bad guy. And he was showing or portraying Mordecai, Esther's relative, as a bad guy. Although Mordecai was a righteous man, he was a good guy, but he was putting a bad mask on him. So the whole story there, I was given different layers of the story, but one of the purposes of that story is to reveal evil as evil and good as good, is to remove the masks and to show the true face of those characters. Well, this is what happened in Purim. Haman, we know, was revealed eventually as an evil guy with bad intentions, evil intentions against Esther's people. And Mordecai was eventually shown as someone who is good, who is not a rebel, but actually a righteous man who worships only one God. Well, in this story, that reminds me of the book of Esther also, we see how God hardens Pharaoh's heart in order to show his true face and his true character that had evil intentions, even to his own people. Because we see here plague after plague, disaster after disaster, Pharaoh still is strong in his decision, even though he sees that his nation is perishing. He did not think of his people, and God, through this hardening of his heart, showing to the Egyptian people the true face of Pharaoh. And as we read in the text, he's showing that there's only one God, and he is over Pharaoh, because Pharaoh was regarded actually as their main god, along with all the nature and animal world that had his own god there, whether it's the sun or the different animals that were considered to be as, let's say, little gods. But Pharaoh was as one of the main gods there. So God is basically showing that this guy who you trusted to be God, he's not God. So many times in our lives as well, when God hardens certain people, certain circumstances around our lives, and on us it is to withhold and to stand strong, will eventually turn into a testimony to the whole world that the things they trust to be God are not real gods. Basically, God, through those circumstances, will reveal to the world that the things they trust are not being what they are trusted for. A reason number two that I would say less regarded, but it's not the least. The second reason why God hardened Pharaoh's heart was to actually strengthen Moses' heart, to strengthen the people's heart, Aaron's heart, and so forth. We all know that Moses was very hesitant going on this mission, especially when he knew in advance that Pharaoh is not going to agree. But eventually God will lead his people out. Well, every time Moses would go, we can see a progression of him becoming more courageous and more stronger in his decision. And that is one of the reasons also why God hardened Pharaoh's hearts, because if everything was just like that, so easy, probably Moses would not have had such a strong conviction in his heart as he had after the 10 times that he went to the Pharaoh to ask for his people to be free to go, to let his people go. Well, that's the second reason, friends, why God is sometimes hardening circumstances around our lives. Is to strengthen us, actually. Is to make us stronger in what we believe. It's not only, as we said, the first reason, to reveal that the false gods are not real gods, but it's also rather to strengthen us in our conviction of our faith towards the true God, the true Creator. Friends, may the Lord bless you. May He strengthen you in these times, difficult times that we're going through around the world. And may we remember both the story of Purim and this story of Moses, of how God hardened the situations so that He can strengthen us inside those hardening times. Let's not give up. Let's continue strong, and may the Lord be with us. God bless you, and we'll see you in the next video.